Hi and welcome to this new video. This is a series of videos that I'm making in relation to the GT-AX11000 and the GT-AXE11000. So as we know, the two models, the difference is basically around having the Wi-Fi 6E and the newer router, and that includes the new 6 GHz frequency. So as you can see here, just to give you a bit of background, I've bought the Intel Wi-Fi 6E AX210 chipset. So that was I got from AliExpress, and you might have seen I've got another unboxing video and review of that PCI Express card. That's installed in my desktop computer. So as you can see here, it does include now the new Wi-Fi 6E, so that's the 6 GHz frequency. As you can see here, is actually certified for Wi-Fi 6 as well, and this card is quite versatile because it does include Bluetooth, and it's 5.2 as well, Bluetooth version. And as you can see here, it's got all the latest technology that's actually built into such a small chip. So it is backwards compatible of Wi-Fi 4, 5, 6 as well, but it does now include the 6 GHz band as well. So this will help with the testing of the speeds and comparisons between the older GT-AX11000 router and the GT-AXE11000 router. So in future videos I'll be doing some comparison speed tests between the two, and also on the newer router, having a look at see what the best Wi-Fi settings and looking at the firmware. The firmware between the two routers will be near enough identical. It might be some differences because of the new Wi-Fi 6E, but the firmware should be roughly the same. The reason why is because most of the hardware is actually the same. You've still got the same USB, the same Ethernet, speed ports on there. It's just it's got a new chipset for Wi-Fi inside. The memory and the RAM and everything else is the same as well. But you can see also the design has changed of the newer router. So as I said here, this is the card I'll be using, and it's quite easy. If you just, even on eBay or Amazon, you can just type in here if you're looking for a really easy way of upgrading to Wi-Fi 6E your desktop. They're not very expensive, and as I said in the I've done a video, so I'll put it in the top right hand corner. So that this is all you'd have to type in is Wi-Fi 6E AX210, and it'll come up with lots of different makes in there. Most of the time they're generic, so don't worry too much about them. Just try and get the best offer you can. So as I said, this is the actual chipset I'm using. So if we have a quick look on the actual desktops, I'm using Windows 11 currently. So as you can see here, I've done starting to do some speed tests and everything else. As I said on here, on my Ethernet, I do have the Realtek 2.5 gigabit Ethernet controller inside there, so we can test the Ethernet on speeds as well and throughput on actual both the routers as well, so we can compare us on those and look at the speeds we're getting. We're going to do various speed tests as well, because I do have an unraid server on my home network, so I've got a built-in speed test like a server as well on there, so I can connect between the internal network, and then we can use the standard speed test, as you can see here, app. That seems to be the standard nowadays that everyone's using for the other speeds. So we just do a comparison and have a look on there. So as I said there, we're going to be using the Ethernet, and then also looking at the 2.4 and then the 5 and then the 6 on the actual GT-AXE11000, and then on the actual older model on the GT-AX11000 we'll be doing some tests on the 2.4 gigahertz band and then the 5 gigahertz band as well. So just comparisons, and see, as we know that it's not really currently at this stage, there's not that many devices out there, but of course there is lots of people out there that wanted to get the best speeds and the latest and everything else. So if you do have starting to get some devices actually in your household that can take advantage of the Wi-Fi 6E and the 6 gigahertz frequency, then why not? You might as well, if you have the money, you might as well upgrade. So as I said here, so this is just the task manager. I'm using Windows 11 as well. And as you can see here, on device manager in Windows, I've got here, you can see here the Intel Wi-Fi 6E AX210 160 megahertz network card I've got in there. So if we just quickly go into the properties just to give you an idea, so the background, so this goes into the finer details of the actual workings of the network card. If you ever need to go into it, you just go into your device manager, and like I did, just right click and go into properties, and then you go into advanced, and you'll be able to see here your driver, so you can see if you've got the latest driver, if you're having any issues, and also update it if need be. And then under advanced, you can see here some of the modes as well if you're having issues. But again, if you're not having any issues, leave these alone, because these sometimes can make things worse for you. But if you are having issues, then you can change them. As I said here, you can see here you can change, you can downgrade the speed of the card if you want to. If there's a reason you're going to, and then you can see here you've got the 2.4, the 5 and the 6, and you can have it, you can set the to a slower channel as well if you want to, on each of the bands. So you've got some other ones here, different options. Again, as I said, it's probably best to leave all of these alone. Of course, if you don't want the 6 gigahertz band actually enabled on your card, you can disable it for any reason if you want to, if you've got a particular reason you need to. Again, the only thing I have actually switched on just to see if it makes any difference is this throughput booster. I don't actually know the exact details of this, but I presume, as going by what it's actually saying here, it's helping with the throughput, so it must be doing something in the background, perhaps with the multitasking of the inputs and outputs on there. So the only thing I've changed is this, and I've enabled it. And of course, if this is causing any issues later on, then I will of course let you know. So this is just the to show you here what card I'm using, and then also the options there. So now we'll move on to doing the few speed tests to see what speeds we can get. So now I've actually got the Ethernet port connected. So as we said, I've got a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet card installed in this desktop computer. So I'm just this is my internal speed test. So this is a server I'm running actually connected to the router, that's both on the same switch that's plugged into the router on there. So you'll be able to get an idea of the throughput through there on the server. And then this is currently using the GT-AX11000. So we're doing the first tests on that router. So let's have a look, see what we get. Again, this is just a test to see on the internal network. As you can see, we're getting some good speeds, and then the ping rate as well. I would have hoped to be a bit lower, but of course that's still more than enough for my needs, to be honest. As you can see here, we're getting quite good speeds on the upload as well. It seems to be faster than the download. Just to give us an idea on Ethernet through the GT-AX11000, and this is using the 2.5 gigabit port on the router as well. Okay, so this is just the Ethernet. So now we're going to go on to do the Wi-Fi tests. So now we're moving on to do the Wi-Fi testing. So this is going to be on the GT-AX11000 first of all, using the Wi-Fi 6E Intel AX210 chipset. So we're going to connect to the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, and then the 5 gigahertz frequency. And of course the 5 gigahertz does have the 160 megahertz option enabled, and for maximum performance it does have DFS channels enabled as well, as you've seen in my previous videos. Just a quick bit of troubleshooting. So first of all, I wasn't able to connect my Windows 11 PC to my router. I'm not too sure if there's a bug or some kind of issue that people are having. I know there is some issues previously people have been having with Windows and then also Wi-Fi 6E, but I found a workaround. So basically by a bit of troubleshooting, what I found that if you can't connect to the Wi-Fi, and it's saying there can't connect to network when you click on the network name. What is best to do is just to go into Wi-Fi. So first we'll go into your control panel, your settings, go to network and internet, and then go to Wi-Fi, and then go to manage known networks. I had nothing in here, so then all I had to do is click add network, and I added the details of the actual router I'm connecting to. So I just connected here, typed in the network name and then the password and saved it, and then when I went back into manually to connect to it, it automatically connected. So I don't know if that's like a bug or anything, but that's just a workaround for a bit of troubleshooting that I've found, and it managed to connect to both the networks now successfully with no issues. So that's just a bit of troubleshooting for people to have a look at. So as you can see here, I'll do the first test as we are now connected to the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. I'll just try and select it here to see the actual, change the actual router. And we'll quickly do the internal speed test first using the 2.4. So again, this is the 2.4 gigahertz frequency that we're getting the speeds on. So it's not fantastic. It should be a little bit higher, to be honest. I would expect even for 2.4 around 100, but we're getting speeds that you know, we're connecting at. So again, here is showing a little bit intermediate speeds. This is for my internal speed network on here. So we're getting around there. So it did burst up to a huge amount. So it's showing around 37.15. And then if we just go to the speed test here, if this will decide to work. If not, then we can just go back to using our normal fast.com. And then have a look at the speeds it's going to give us here. So we can see here we're getting around, it's expected. I expected a little bit quicker, but this is the actual internet speed that we're using here. And then we'll just have a look here to see what the actual upload as well speed is we're getting on this current settings. So this is the 2.4 network. So it's just going through the process now of uploading. I think again this is fluctuating quite a lot, so I don't think this is a true figure, because there's no, my internet does upload speed is a maximum 150 megabits per second. So getting 390 is near enough impossible. So again, these speed tests are a bit of sometimes not real world tests, but just to give us an idea of connection and things like that. So we've got here. I perhaps need to see if we can try our internal test again on the network. So we can just refresh this one and then have a look, and then we can try this one again and see what speeds we get. So once we've got this connected, and then we've tried this, now we'll go on to the actual, after this one has finished the upload, we'll go on to the 5 gigahertz frequency on my GT-AX11000, and we'll see if we can get there. Again, I take these speed results with a bit of pinch of salt. This just give us an idea of roughly what we're getting, because I know my doorbell and that's quite a few feet away, and that's still connecting at around 100. So this card seems to be not performing the best even on a 2.4. Okay, so now we'll move on to the 5 gigahertz. So we have now connected to the 5 gigahertz frequency band on the GT-AX11000. So as you can see the details behind here, I'm using the new encryption type, so it's WPA3. I am using the AX210 160 megahertz, and this is the current driver version I'm using. And then you can see the band and the channel and then the connection speed. So this is the theoretical maximum upload download speed I'm actually connected. So you can see currently the desktop computer is probably about 12 feet away, and one wall is separating that. So you can see the details here on where I've connected. Again, this is the actual speed test that for my internal network, and we'll just have a look now to see what speeds we can get. So again, this is quite impressive to get over 1,000 megabits per second on the download. So that's very impressive, to be honest. And as you can see here, even on the upload, so this is the internal network it's going through on Wi-Fi and on the 5 gigahertz frequency. Of course, this is connected at the 160 megahertz. So I've enabled this within the Wi-Fi settings on the router, like you've seen in my previous videos. If you haven't, then just have a look on the playlist, and you'll be able to see there for advanced settings there under Wi-Fi as well. So you can see here that is quite a much more and better than the 2.4. So I don't know what's happening on the 2.4. Obviously something was an issue with the card. I know there's some bugs with the driver and everything else. So even if we run this again just quickly to see what speed we can get to see, and we can see we get a concurrent over 1,000 megabits per second on the actual so this is near enough matching the speeds again of Ethernet that you're getting, but you can get it over Wi-Fi. Again, this is only separated by one wall, so it's not that far away from the actual main router. So it's not ideal conditions, but it's close enough to be able to get the speeds that we want. So as we can see here, that's quite impressive. And as I said before, we'll just quickly do the fast.com test and see what speeds we can get here. So my internet is 900 download and 150 upload. So you can see here it's quite impressive. 700. So I'm still not too sure why my upload speed is showing so high. I think it does fluctuate on here, especially this internet speed test. So like I said, you take it with a pinch of salt, but it should start settling down. So you can see here, but we can see the network speed is concurrent link speed here. Hasn't gone down or anything like that, and it stayed the same. So yes, I'm really impressed. Actually connecting on, this is just the Wi-Fi 6, and this is the 5 gigahertz frequency on the GT-AX11000. So this speed is for internal network. So when I'm copying to my Unraid server or anything else like that, so that's your theoretic connection speed. That is more than quick enough for me, and I think for most people, to be honest, using this card. So next we'll move on to doing a speed test. Now we'll connect to the newer router, the GT-AXE11000, and on that we'll connect using on the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, the 5, and then we'll try the 6, and we'll see what speed differences there are. Again, this is not a very technical test, but it just gives you an idea when connecting, and see what speeds we can actually get, and theoretical on here. So now we're moving on to doing the speed test and seeing about the connection here, as we can see on the GT-AXE11000. So this is the newer router, that's the from Asus, that has Wi-Fi 6E. So I'm currently connected as we did before on here by Wi-Fi. So we're going to try the 2.4, the 5, and because this has the 6 channel, we're going to try the 6 gigahertz as well connection. So I'm currently connected to the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, and we'll just have an idea of what speed we'll get here. So we're getting a quite reasonable speed, as you can see here, just on the even on the 2.4, and this is what the speed I'd expect to receive. And this is probably, I know we had some slower speeds when we were doing the GT-AX11000, but I think that was some interference that we're getting, and I will try the test again at a later date on that to see the reason why. So we can see here that we are getting 142 megabits per second download and 168 upload. So this is my internal server, as I said. So this is an internal speed test. So this is going to give you the maximum that normally theoretically you'll be able to receive through here. It does say on my connection, as you can see down here, our connection is at 229 receive and then transmit at 287 megabits per second. So this is the speed we're currently getting. And of course, everyone's network is different. So this is take everything with these speed tests as a pinch of salt. But again, this just gives us an idea of the between the two routers and then the speeds we can actually perhaps we can receive. So that's the first one. So we can see we've done 2 tests on the 2.4, and now we can go to fast.com and just see what speeds we can get here. So of course this is just for your for the internet. So we can see here we're getting 150. So that's quite reasonable, and I'm quite happy with that for as a 2.4. And as we know, the 2.4 gigahertz frequency does travel the furthest with the speed and everything else. So yeah, I'm very happy with these speeds we're getting here. So now we'll go on to connect to the 5 gigahertz frequency on the GT-AXE11000. So now we've moved on to the 5 gigahertz frequency, and as we can see here, we've got Wi-Fi 6 here, and it's connected using the WPA2 encryption. And here's the version I'm actually connecting, and then here's the actual band. So it's 5 gigahertz. The channel is 104, and you can see that we've got a link speed of up and down of 1201 megabits per second. And this is on the 5 gigahertz frequency on the GT-AXE11000. So let's quickly start this and just give us an idea of what speeds. As we saw on the other router, so the previous generation that's not Wi-Fi 6E or it doesn't have the 6 gigahertz frequency, we were getting around 1000 on the download, and on the around 1000 or 800 on the upload. So it fluctuates between here. So as we can see here, the speeds we're getting around here. So this isn't even on the 5 gigahertz frequency, and we aren't getting as fast as we were getting before. But we can, again, like I said, we take this with a pinch of salt. But this gives you a good indication that even on the 5 gigahertz frequency, and I would say on the 2.4, because of the interference we were receiving before, the speeds are going to be exactly the same you're going to receive. So basically on both routers, so there doesn't look like too much improvement between the two. Of course, the improvements hopefully will come when we actually connect to the 6 gigahertz frequency, because this is the new feature of Wi-Fi 6E that's on the GT-AXE11000 router. So as we said, again, reasonable speeds that we're receiving, and we will see again here. So as we can see here, we are getting around 700. So my internet is around 900 megabits per second download. So again, this is very reasonable for Wi-Fi and even the upload and download. So this is the internal network we're using here. So now we'll actually connect to the new frequency, the 6 gigahertz band, and see what speeds we can receive from that. So now we've moved on and connected to the 6 gigahertz frequency. So this is on the GT-AXE11000. As I'm going to do the same internal network speed test that I've got on my Unraid server. So that's connecting internal. So hopefully that should give us the maximum throughput, and then also use fast.com for the internet speed test. As you can see here, we are connected to the 6 gigahertz frequency, and you can see Wi-Fi 6 802.11ax. It's using WPA3 this time. It's upgraded itself the encryption, and you can see the network band is 6 and network channel is 5, and you can see the link speed is 2402 megabits per second up and down. So you can see there we've actually connected at the hopefully the maximum speed we can. And it is using the 160 megahertz option that I've switched on within the router. So let's have a quick test to see what kind of speeds we were getting. So as you see here, we can get in around 1200 using the 6 gigahertz frequency. Again, this has just got one wall between this on the Wi-Fi, and so it's not very far apart, and there's so this should give us a theoretical best practice example of speeds that we can receive using the actual 6 gigahertz frequency. And again, don't forget 6 gigahertz, as we go up, it is further away you are, the slower the speeds and the distance that you can get. So we can see here we've got 1225 and 1000 upload, so still that's amazing speeds. Talking Ethernet kind of speeds here, so that is quite impressive. I'll quickly do the fast.com to see what speed. Again, like I said, I've got a 900 and megabytes per second download connection on my internet, and I'm getting 860, so that's more than enough, especially over Wi-Fi. And then we'll just do another quick test just to have a look to see, and we can double check the figures. So we can see here, yeah, we're getting around again a steady over 1100 megabits per second on the download and upload. So I mean, that's fast enough for most people when connecting and streaming and everything else. Again, I got ideal conditions, so this is the only device. Well, 8 devices are actually connected to the router currently. It's the same as the previous test, just to give a bit more real world example. But again, if more devices you've got on here, the more interference from other people, neighbors' networks and things like that. Of course, this can slow your connection down, but hopefully on the 6 gigahertz frequency, this will actually help with everything else. So this has just been a quick comparison between the speed tests on the 2 different routers. Of course, like I said, you take the speed test with a pinch of salt because everyone's conditions are different. But just to give you an idea of if you're thinking of upgrading from the GT-AX11000 to this newer one, I would advise with current tests that I've been running in it as well from for the future series of videos I'm going to make. Unless you've got a lot of Wi-Fi 6E devices that can take advantage of that 6 gigahertz frequency, then of course upgrade. But if not, then I would hold off and stick to your GT-AX11000, because right now that is more than adequate, and I find of all the devices I've connected to it, I do have Wi-Fi 6 a lot of devices on there, but this is the only Wi-Fi 6E device I've got connected, and basically I'm going to stick with the GT-AX11000. And lucky enough, I got this router from a friend that's bought it, so he's letting me borrow it just to do some tests and videos. Okay, so I hope you found this useful. Again, put anything in the comments and I'll try and answer them. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.